Imagine walking into a land with no familiar landscapes, but surrounded by miles and miles of ocean. The island has a thriving community, but you know the real adventure lies outside of the solid rock and into the water. Out there, I'll come face to face with notorious enemies like pirates, ghosts, and the long-feared Kraken. Along the way, I hope to explore new territories, bond with new friends, and above all, survive 100 days in Minecraft's Pirate Island. Coming out the other side of that portal, I didn't know what I expected to find, but I hoped for home. My dreams were dashed upon the rocks when I saw no familiar village or landscapes I could recognize. From one unknown world to the next, I entered into a new adventure. Knowing what I know now, I might have done some things differently. Like maybe I would have stayed far, far away from the ocean. With no idea on where to go or how to navigate my journey, I considered myself pretty lucky to stumble upon a thriving coastal town. People happily going about their days and sharing pleasantries on the boardwalk.
The sun on a Tuesday always shines a little brighter.
Already, this place is worlds different from where I've come from. I continue to walk along the docks and say hello to friendly vendors and customers alike. The community is alive and I feel instantly welcomed here. Not so afraid and thrown out of my elements like I was in the previous world. It's probably this feeling of happiness and comfort that pushes me to be bold again. Along the docks, I come across a young lad heading towards a ship and singing a happy tune.
Yahoo! I'm heading out to sea.
I ask him if he needs help loading up the ship he's set on, and he happily accepts my offer. I carry barrels in and down to below deck, moving between the busy crew and trying to stay out of everyone's way. After finding a proper spot for the barrel, I head back up to the upper deck, thinking about a particular fruit vendor that I wouldn't mind visiting. As I turn the corner to step out onto the docks, I see nothing but water. Water? Initially, I wanted to panic, to run around like a chicken without its head and demand we turn around. But if the last world has taught me anything, it's that horror lies on land. I think I'll be much safer out at sea. Now, I've never been on a ship before, ever. So you can imagine my first couple of days were tough. I couldn't find a good rhythm on the ship, had no idea where my post was supposed to be, couldn't figure out what port or bow or mainsail meant for the life of me. I had ropes thrown at me.
Here you go, sailor.
Orders barked at me.
Swab the deck, you pile of bones.
And buckets dropped on me.
Look out below!
I was totally not prepared for this. I stared out at the vast ocean and wondered if any of these currents and waterways could lead me in the direction of my home. It was nice to be in a world where my only companion isn't a wolf, but I still yearned for the connections I had back in a home I knew. Well, no time to look back when I have to keep moving forward. I was awoken by the hollers of my newfound crew, and I jumped out of my slumber and ran to the upper deck to see what all the chaos was about. What I saw still sends chills down my spine. A wrecked ship, almost completely destroyed, floats on top of the water. The crew mumbles words like storm and tragedy, but the word that sounds the loudest comes from our captain, who I saw for the first time as I turned around.
It be the Kraken that done this.
Kraken? I think. Aren't those things just made up?
Oh, they're real all right.
Did he just read my mind?
Seen one with me own eyes. Heard it with my own ears.
Touched it with your own hands?
Ew, no. That thing is slimy.
Despite the fear that now sits with the group, we board a dinghy and make our way over to the ship. We find useful loot within the abandoned chests and add it to our own pile back on the ship. I can't stop thinking about what we saw. Could there really be something out there that could cause that much damage? And did our little crew really stand a chance against it? On our ship, I found some scrolls on the sea, information about what I might encounter and how to handle it. No one has advice against a Kraken, but I've fought worse before. I think it's probably a good idea to hone in on my skills, though. I spent the rest of the day and the next freshening up on my sword skills. The young lad works as a worthy opponent, but it's not long before he gets too easy to beat. With no one willing to challenge me, I go to our captain.
So, you want to be the captain, eh? Well, sword fighting me might be the last thing you ever do.
Whoa. I'm just trying to get better. Learn something. I don't want your job or anything.
Oh, in that case, weapons up!
We duel for hours, and the captain teaches me loads of new skills. I don't know what a sword could do against a Kraken, but at least I feel like I've given myself a fighting chance to stay alive. Besides, Now that I'm realizing the water has just as many threats as the land, I can only imagine what other sorts of things we'll come across along the way. The next time I was on lookout duty, which meant I spent my entire day up in the crow's nest, for a long time all I could see were miles and miles and miles of water. Sea creatures swam below and seabirds soared through the sky. Then, just there beyond the horizon, land! Land ho! The crew and I spent a lot of time collecting fresh water and more food from the land and animals on the island. I also dedicated some time to mining so I could pick up supplies like iron and diamond that might come in handy later. We boarded our dinghies and started back towards the boat when suddenly our boat was flipped over and we were dashed into the water. Which way was up? Which way was down? I couldn't see. I couldn't breathe. I'm pulled to the surface by the young lad and he helps me back into the dinghy. What was that? What hit us? The young lad points and I turn to see something I never thought I would. A mermaid! In stories I read as a child, mermaids were always the good guys, sometimes the heroes. But this one had an agenda of its own. Other crewmates that are still trying to get on are knocked over and dragged to the depths below. I have to do something. I plunge into the water and see the mermaid with my friends in tow. Her movements are so swift and I'm running out of air. Yes! I land a final strike to the mermaid and watch her body sink into the depth below. After our encounter with the mermaid and a few lashes here and there, I dedicated the day to building myself some sort of protection. I made some tricorn armor and suited up. I was just getting used to my new armor and testing out some new sword moves when a sudden burst shot through the ship. The blast came out of nowhere.
To your battle stations, men! Move your sorry bottoms!
To my surprise and fear, a ship had approached, our own, and with a crew already lining the edges and manning the cannons to shoot us down in our prime. What is going on? What do we do? Oh man, I am so not ready for this. The young lad sees my clear struggle and leads me to a cannon of our own.
You aim! I fire!
I catch on quickly to what he means and start loading cannonballs into our cannon. There's no time to hesitate. It truly is a sink or swim moment. We battle it out for what feels like hours, blowing holes in their ship and having holes blown back in ours. Crewmates start swinging over to the enemy ship and taking the pirates down with expert swordsmanship or a solid punch to the gut. From the crow's nest, other crewmates fire off arrows that stick into our enemies and send them careening over the side of the ship. The battle is a great one, mostly because we come out the winners. When we divide the new loot amongst ourselves, I grab a captain's cutlass sword and attach it to my hip. The biggest downside of the battle was the damage it caused. So the crew and I spend days working on repairs and mending our injuries. I take care of replacing our ship's railings, adding support to the main mast, and patching up holes in the sail. It's a lot of work, but when it's done, we can all finally rest and spend some time just enjoying each other's company. The crew spends the night swapping stories about their greatest adventures, but our captain is nowhere to be seen. We sail for days and nights across the water and seemingly without direction. I went to the young lad to ask about our excursion. Young lad, what exactly is going on here? Like, what's our goal?
You don't know?
Well, no. I kinda got swept up in this voyage against my will. Last time I helped load in barrels.
Well, it's the Kraken. The captain wants to take it down.
Take down the Kraken? What? That's impossible! What is he thinking? We saw what it did to that ship.
Too late to stop him now.
Why?
He wants to be seen as the best captain to ever sail the seven seas. The one who can take down the Kraken will be remembered forever.
This is totally and absolutely crazy. There's no way at all that anyone would be able to take down a beast like that. We had to give our all to go up against mermaids, and then again against those pirates. What makes him think we stand a shot at taking down the biggest creature in the ocean? No, I can't allow it to happen. I have to do something. I made a plan to talk to our captain tomorrow and hope I get some sense into him. This is it. Today, I try to save our souls. Captain, think we can talk for a quick sec?
What be troubling you?
Is it true this whole voyage is dedicated to you killing the Kraken once and for all?
Aye, that be the truth. And I will down that beast with a blow from my trusty Captain Cutlass.
Yeah, see, I have the same sword, and I just don't think that's possible.
Well, my cutlass is better.
How?
Because it be mine.
This is useless. There's no point in trying to talk some sense into this guy, and he's gonna get himself and his crew killed. It's been days since we've seen land, but I think he's trying to avoid it since he knows the Kraken stays in the deep waters. Well, this is his bed to lie in. I don't want to be part of this. That night, I sneak out of the sleeping quarters and lower a dinghy into the water. I get in the dinghy, take one last look up at the ship above me, and start to row away. I spent days out at sea all by myself. For food, I fished, and for water, I thankfully thought of smuggling some on board before taking off into the vast expanse of ocean in front of me. The journey in my dinghy is lonely, but it's the only choice I had. I row for days trying to find a way back to the original island I had landed on, but I'm unable to navigate these unknown waters. This could be it. This could be the end of my line. Nighttime falls and the air off the water is cold. But then, just there in the distance, a ship. Over here! Over here! Oh, finally, I'm saved! But as the ship gets closer, I can't help but notice a very distinct difference. It's glowing. A sea green sort of color, and while it does strike me as strange, I can't question it. Being on a larger ship betters my chances of survival. I climb aboard onto a pirate ship. I start to attack immediately, using my captain's cutlass to fend for my life. I'm not going down so easily. There are so many of them. The pirates totally overpower me, and just when I think this is the end, I see tentacles in the distance rise out of the water. No way. Could that be? The pirates seem to notice too and start to scramble. I slash at tentacles and dodge out of the way. When holes appear in the ship, I try to scoop out as much water as I can.
Man overboard! Grit to your post! Defend your ship, you scurvy dogs!
Fighting, unloading, and repairing damage as we fight this monster. It's total chaos. Even with the captain screaming, it's not going to help. I swim as fast as I can back to my small boat and climb aboard. I watch the pirate ship meet its demise and dread what lies in store for my friends. I have to get back to the other ship and warn them somehow. I mean, there's no way they can take something like that down. They'll die. I find an island and thankfully get some time to rest and restock. The island has a good area for mining, so I dive right into that. I mine for long enough to collect some good gold and diamond resources. I even find a cavern of lava, and while carefully navigating it, find a chest full of supplies. Cannonballs and cleats, a telescope, a new rapier, and a flintlock pistol. I feel like a pirate that's just come across a buried treasure. Wait, that's it! Maybe I can save my friends by convincing the captain to hunt down treasure instead of the Kraken, if I can find them.
And if you make it out of here alive.
Ah! I turn to see an army of the undead. Skeletons stalk towards me with their claws raised. You know, abusing someone isn't a fair fight.
Good thing we're not too keen on playing by the rules.
I start with arrows, keeping as much distance between me and the skeletons as possible. Shot after shot lands, but there still are so many of them. Whoa, everybody slow down. Can't we talk this out, actually?
Give it up, small fry.
I have to get back to my crew. I have to save my friends. The fight finally ends. I leave the caverns and spend one last night on the island, getting some well-deserved rest before heading back into the ocean tomorrow. I load my new supplies onto my boat and then find some sheep on the island and shear their wool to use as a sail for my dinghy. It makes travel a lot easier. Days out at sea and still no sign of the ship. What I have encountered, though, are swarms of mermaids. Whatever I did to the one all those days ago, they must have caught word of it and made me public enemy number 1. Back off, fish people! I fend off my ship and keep them at bay, but every now and then I still see their heads popping up in the distance, just waiting for the perfect time to attack. And as if that's not enough, I soon encountered the only dangerous sea creature I actually believed was real: sharks. They circle my small dinghy, smelling my supplies, and me. I don't bother you, you don't bother me. Can that be the deal? But the sharks are just like the mermaids. They linger for days, waiting for the perfect opportunity for me to slip up, and that moment comes. I'm eating some of the food I saved when a particularly strong gust of wind forces me to stumble. My meat goes flying overboard, and it's only a second before the sharks descend. They gnash at the meat underwater and then quickly become very interested in what else I could be hiding in the boat. Sharks ram into the side and send me teetering over. It's then that the mermaids start to make their approach. I swim back to my dinghy and climb aboard. I pull out my pistol and start firing into the water at my enemies, and I hope it'll be enough. The sharks continue to beat at the boat. 3 of them from all different angles. It goes on for some time, but once the mermaids see how I defeat the sharks, they think better of going up against me and turn tail. After a few more days at sea, I finally noticed a familiar ship. I pull up to the side and climb the rope ladder to safety. The young lad greets me on the other side, and I've never been so happy to see his face.
You've abandoned your crew. I should throw you back in the waters and let the sea have its way with you.
Trust me, Captain. I've learned my lesson. The ocean has a lot of nasty things in it.
Aye, she does.
But she also has some gifts. That catches the captain and the crew's attention. Not too far from this spot, I found an island, and beneath its surface, a buried treasure with so many goods, we would be rich for years. Captain, I suggest we find more islands like this and seek out buried treasure for the rest of our days aboard the ship.
That sounds like a brilliant plan.
I my riches.
Nay, the Kraken is the prize that will last for lifetimes. We stay on course. But, Captain, there ain't no course we're on. No more discussion. Back to your station.
A failed attempt. But I can't give up. I look to the young lad for help.
Captain, suppose one of these islands gives us a weapon so vast in power we can kill the Kraken in one blow.
The captain considers it for a moment, and I watch him with my breath held.
Set a course for the land, and you get to the crow's nest.
The captain points at me and I salute. Aye, aye, Captain. Yes! A few more days safe and with time to plan on how to keep the crew alive. This Kraken chase has to end now, unless we want to end up like the pirates I saw only days before. I stand in the crow's nest with the young lad. It's the only place I feel we can get some privacy. We have to find a way to keep the captain from chasing down this crazy Kraken fantasy.
It'll have to be something clever. The captain ain't gonna give up on this chase for nothing.
The young lad has a point, but as soon as I turn back to the sea in front of me, I hope for an answer to rise from the waves. But nothing for now. We spend a few days searching for land, and I finally spot it after miles of blue. On the island, the crew splits up, and after a while, I hear shouts from a distance away. I sprint over to the sounds of distress and find my crewmate outside of a dungeon, most likely laden with treasures unimaginable. The creatures in front of the dungeon start to attack us with great force. I charge into the battle to protect my comrades. I refuse to lose anyone on this mission to save their lives.
The treasure will never be yours.
We'll see about that. And with one final cut from my rapier, the guards are gone. The dungeon is ours to scavenge. We collect some pretty fine items. Gold, of course, but also chainmail armor, TNT, potions of regeneration, and the heart of the sea. Not a bad find. Whoever left this treasure here clearly lived an incredible life, and that gives me an idea. Captain, isn't this amazing? All this treasure and goods. Whoever buried this treasure must have been a legend.
Seems so, matey. Seems so.
Still, I bet there could be an even better treasure left on an even better island. Whoever did something like that, their legacy would stretch on for centuries. Ships from all over trying to figure out where it could be. That's one way to live forever.
Aye, forever and a day. Maybe you have a point there.
The captain has us load back onto the boat and declares that we're now treasure hunters. Even though the title has a risk of its own, at least we're not going against giant monsters that have no known weaknesses. I count this as a win. We travel from island to island looking for loot and fighting off the guards who protect it. One night, we get to an island while the moon is high and the sky is dark. From the surrounding trees, creepers emerge with armies of spiders trailing hungrily behind them. With everything I've encountered over the last couple days, this battle proves to be a piece of cake. More islands, more enemies, more victories. Our ship can barely float from how much treasure it's carrying, and the crew and captain both seem more than pleased. From his position at the wheel, the captain calls to us.
We are unlike any crew, finding treasure unknown and vast in quantities. No one would dare try to accomplish something as great as the crew and captain of this here ship, the Kraken's demise.
Name's a little on the nose there, no? A few days pass with the crew in good spirits and all seems like it's going well. I'm happy with this bunch of people. The young lad and I freshen up our sword fighting and practice blasting off cannons aimed at giant sharks and fearsome squid in the water. I finish killing off a horde of mermaids that circled around the Kraken's demise and happily report we can continue our journey to the captain. But when I found him, he seemed low. Captain?
It's something I be forgetting. The thrill of treasure had me missing the truth of why I became captain.
What do you mean? You love hunting for treasure. With everything we have, we can bury it and have the biggest haul of goods documented, set far into the ground of a treacherous island. Your legacy will be your treasure.
Aye, until someone finds it.
No one will find it. And, if they do, they'll just talk about how filthy, stinking rich you were. Better than all the rest.
But then there's all the rest. Only one can kill a Kraken. Whoever that be holds the power to keep themselves alive for lifetimes, to come through story and praise alone. I've strayed off me path long enough. Treasure hunting is out. Kraken killings is the game again.
Oh no! I'm too depressed to get out of bed and the crew picks up my slack. I wish I knew how to save them. I spend some days with myself, but eventually re-emerge to the upper deck one quiet night. The stars shine in the night sky, but then, wait, the stars are moving? Bright blue flakes start to descend from the sky. When I look back down to the water, I see a ghastly blue ship across the way. What's even worse is the bodies occupying the ship are transparent. Ghost pirates! I ring our ship's bell to wake the rest of the crew and they all come clamoring to the upper deck.
Man the cannons! Blast with all ye have!
Would that even work? It's a ghost ship, and things usually tend to go right through ghost things. Still, I prepare my cannon and start to fire off shots. But whatever weapons the ghost ship has work even better than ours. This is very different from the first battle I had on this ship. We're losing. Badly. The ghost pirates swing onto our upper deck and we draw weapons. My captain's cutlass slices through their spirit-like bodies. Still, more and more of them flow from their ship onto ours. From my deck, I see an image of a ghostly captain, and I recognize his face. The same captain from the pirate ship taken down by the Kraken. Could this be some kind of warning? Are they less trying to fight us and more trying to keep us safe? I do something either incredibly heroic or incredibly stupid. I drop my weapon. The ghost pirate in front of me stops moving. Everyone, drop your weapons. They're not here to hurt us.
You're crazy.
Do as you're told.
The young lad drops his weapon and the others follow suit. From the ghost ship, the captain's voice bellows.
I really wouldn't do what you're thinking about doing, Captain. And who's ye to tell me how to command my ship? I be the Kraken's latest victim. The beat is unbeatable, and the journey is in vain. Turn back, or your legacy will be the same as mine.
The ghosts around us start moving again, scampering between our bodies to get back to their ship. The sight is eerie. I hope it laid some sense into our captain. Our captain drops anchor and doesn't leave his quarters for several days. The crew is at a standstill. The captain calls off the standstill and demands we continue our course to find the Kraken. At this point, it's a wild goose chase. The thing could be anywhere. We sail for a few days, adding repairs to the ship, fishing for food, fighting off squids and sharks. Every fight seems pointless now, though. Now that I know we're heading to sure death. More days pass and seemingly nothing will happen. The chase with an unknown path stretches on for days.
Captain! Captain! I see it! Dark and menacing and a monstrous size! The Kraken! Dead ahead!
All crew is on their feet in seconds, and the captain demands full speed ahead as we chase after our certain doom. It's only a matter of seconds before we're above it, and it feels like the water around us is bubbling in anticipation. This is it.
On your marks! Quickly, quickly! Before it gets the best of us!
Then, tentacles rise out of the water, and before you could say, uh-oh, we were under attack.
Don't give up on it! Don't show her you're afraid! Back to the underworld with you! Take your monsterly ways to whence you came!
The Kraken's demise will have finally earned her name in just a moment's time!
Fighting off a Kraken isn't like fighting anything else. You don't have time to think or time to second guess. Things that are damaged will not be repaired, and you're trying to protect yourself just as much as the person next to you. It is madness. Are you guys crazy? This thing is kicking our butts! The mainsail has been knocked over and the holes in the ship are filling faster and faster with water. However you're supposed to defeat a kraken, it's not with swords and cannonballs and words of wisdom. There has to be another way. I think about what we have on board. Anything that could help us win this fight. The TNT! I rush below deck and fish the TNT out of one of our crates. Captain, you have to use this! Aim it at the kraken and kill it with fire! This is the only way and it has to be you!
I agree with you, lad. Hand it over.
The captain rushes to the railings of the ship and perches on the edge. When the kraken lifts itself again, showing its gaping mouth and huge teeth, Captain throws the TNT inside and ducks for cover. Kaboom! Kraken bits go flying in the air and the beast lets out one final roar of defeat.
I am Slayer of the Kraken!
The crew cheers and applauds.
And this here be me crew, the Kraken's demise!
The captain looks over at me while the rest of them cheer. He gives me a nod of approval. We tried to save the ship, but the damage from the kraken basically turned it to splinters. We set out on a dinghy into the great waters. We left all of our loot and findings on the ship as it slowly sank to the bottom of the ocean. You know, that's not too bad a hiding spot for some buried treasure.
Aye, not too bad it seems.
We row for days. We come up on an island and spend some time scavenging for food and water. With the dinghy being so much smaller, we don't have a lot of spots to store food in. With that in mind, I also hunted down some wood and sheep and added additional space to our dinghy as well as a new sail to make travel easier for us. It's still not as grand as the Kraken's demise, but I think everyone appreciated a little extra legroom. We decided to set a course back for the mainland and spend some more time sailing. Some of the crew members get sick and puke ends up chumming the waters around us. Sharks show up, but thankfully nothing too crazy happens, except for me being slightly grossed out. We make it back to the docks this journey started on. Townspeople rush to greet us, asking what happened to our ship and what the world was like out there in the ocean. They prepare us dinner and the whole town gathers to hear the tales of what we did and who we had to fight. I delve into my own stories of when I broke off from the crew, and my crewmates and captains seem impressed with what I was able to manage on my own. What's truly astounding here is our captain, made to sail off and kill the kraken, and that's exactly what he did, even when I tried to stop him.
Aye, don't be so harsh on yourself. You were just trying to protect your crew and your captain.
We raise glasses and sing songs and celebrate our victory. As the town dozes off into a slumber, I stay awake, looking for any signs of danger that might befall us. In the distance on the water far from the docks, I see a transparent ship pass by. I wonder if the ghost pirates kept us safe on our journey home. For many days, I rest and enjoy the townsfolk and vendors. I finally got my hands on that fruit I was eyeing before our journey and took several delicious baskets of it back to the young lad's home. He graciously let me stay with him for some time. I go into the town's island and mine for resources. Something tells me my journey here is coming to a close soon, and I want to be prepared for what comes next. Inside one of the caves lit by lava and torches, I take some of the loot I had on me, gold nuggets, my chain link armor, and the pistol. I put them in a crate and bury it under stone for some lucky soul to find one day. The young lad and I spend the day training some more, and we put our skills to the test as we go on an excursion to find creepers and zombies that may be hiding throughout the island. We kill off dozens and threaten dozens more. I go to visit the captain late at night.
You are a good sailor. Someone I would be honored to keep as part of the crew.
I think my sailing days are behind me. At least I hope so.
Aye, well, whenever you be wanting to head back our way, you got yourself a ship and an adventure waiting on you.
Thank you, Captain. It would be an honor to fight by your side again. Although, maybe next time we pick on someone our own size. I wake up to the familiar sound of a portal opening and grab all I need before I step up to it. This one has been quite the ride, and I can only hope that what's next will be just as or even more kind. At the very least, I hope I don't have to fight for my life as much. And with that, I step through.